Does Brexit change the dynamic of Eurozone legitimacy, or does it reinforce it?
Very hard to say, because if we ask ourselves what is legitimacy, in the terms I use, it's policy performance, legitimacy in terms of performance, legitimacy in terms of the politics and political participation and representation, or legitimacy in terms of the procedural processes. The UK being out probably makes the processes in some ways easier because it was constantly a veto player. But will Eurozone, for example, or EU performance be better? It depends really what the results will be. And in terms of the processes, equally, we don't really know what's going to happen.
And you talked about the differences of the forms of legitimacy between the EU institutions. Is there any way to reconcile these differences?
Actually, yes, there's a way to reconcile the differences, and it would really involve continued change in the way in which the Commission works, the Council, the European Central Bank, and the European Parliament. It seems to me that if you want to bring in more democratic legitimacy, more political legitimacy, you have to do two things. One is increase instances of the community method, reduce the intergovernmental kind of decision-making of the Council, which tends to be non-transparent and often non-accountable, and have more of a process of community method, which means the Commission proposes, the European Parliament and the Council of Member State leaders discuss and propose. For the Eurozone crisis, this would be especially important because for a very long time there's a perception that decisions are being made by the Member State leaders, in particular under the influence of Germany. Germany is the power, this is seen as a dictator. If you were to go back to a community method, there would be much more public deliberation about this. The European Parliament would be coming in, there would be more diverging views announced, probably left and right, and so at least there'd be public deliberation and thus legitimation on a discursive level, and probably better results.
One of the issues that is currently plagued or attributed to the Eurozone is the slow pace of decision-making. Would this sort of reconciliation only exacerbate or add to this problem, or can it also be circumvented?
I don't know that this would make decision-making faster, but it would make it more legitimate. It would maybe we'd lose in efficacy, but we would, in terms of the processes, but we would gain in accountability, transparency, inclusiveness, openness. And probably, if you were to bring in national parliaments involved with the European Parliament, if you were to try to have more citizen consultation, you would end up with more input legitimacy. And ultimately, if it's better accepted, you may also get better performance, as in output legitimacy.